I think I do want local LLM. A computer here dedicated for local, a large, oh gosh, now I can't even think of it right. Large language model. There you go. So I do have audio confirmation there. And this is a topic that I've been wrestling with a little bit. I don't know if, yeah, a little bit. That's a fair word. Until recently, most of my thinking has been, why in the world would I want a local large model, large language model? There we go. Local large language model on a computer here. And Agentic AI. And I think I do have my own reasons for wanting that now. I don't think I'm going to be acting on this real soon because I'm just way too busy. It would be too much of a distraction from what I'm doing now. But as a way of documenting my process or my progress, evolution on this subject, that is the topic that I decided I want to start out with today. I'm not holding out myself as an expert in local LLM or agentic AI, but I am saying that I think I want to become very, very literate with it and possibly even implementing such installations for my clients' offices. Again, that's not going to be real soon because it still is an evolving field, but I'm beginning to see why and the usefulness. So I'm going to give you some conversation about that here. Welcome everybody. Let's see, that means there's one social topic in there at this point, and I'm going to take you over to a conversation, of course, that I had with Gemini on this subject, local LLM. Is that where I started with it? Is that the right topic? Is that the right one? I think so. I gotta double check this here. Smaller AI. Why do I feel like this isn't the right one? Okay, let's go ahead with this one. I start out with, does Microsoft have an operating system for hosting AI LLM? I didn't say the word hurry there. I pronounced the word period. Does Dell Computers or other major manufacturers sell a computer specifically to be an LLM local? Roughly how many people applied for a machine that is essentially configure and play? Okay, lots of voice to text errors there. Yeah, AI thinks I'm saying rush with that word hurry. Let's close things up a little bit here. Let's get rid of that, make this a little bit bigger. Not a standalone operating system, but Windows 11 is now explicitly built for it. Microsoft has integrated Windows ML and Microsoft Foundry on Windows. I haven't delved into either of those topics much, directly into Windows 11, specifically Copilot plus PCs. Okay, Copilot, yeah, I have some experience with that, but not this terminology, Windows ML or Microsoft Foundry on Windows. This provides a built-in AI framework that allows you to download and run open source models like Llama 3, Phi, and Mistral. I have explored that topic a little bit, and I found that, oh man, it's like Linux, all these different distributions, all these different open source models, and you got to pick which one is going to be useful to you. And I thought, oh geez, that just sounds like a whole lot of research and studying to just get started. So that's why I asked this question. Is there just a plug and play, configure and play way of doing this instead of going through all that research? You don't need a specialized server operating system. Modern Windows 11 handles local AI. Now, this is something that's bothered me on this whole topic for a while. Yeah, we've got AI built into the one of the chips on the motherboard. Yeah, but where does that really come into play? That's where I am evolving and learning, and this is not really applicable to the work that I do with my clients yet. Do Dell, other major manufacturers sell plug and play local LLM computers? Audio level just dropped off, he says. Okay, yeah, I see it is low. It was high when I got here, so I'm checking. And that was Selden Ball. And reconnect. There it is. That brought it back up. That's interesting. I'm a little bit cold over here. You see me trying to warm up. Do Dell or other major, yes, absolutely. The industry term for this right now is AI PC or AI workstation. Dell Precision Ready. I'm not going to read through that bit. I want to get to the things that I really found to be of interest. Here's showing some prices. One of the implementations for myself totally justifies spending this kind of money on a computer just for this purpose. I'm not saying that for home environment. I'm a home business that is specifically computer topics. And I do have a specific reason for being interested in local LLM. Now, it talked about up here 7B, 8B, 70B, 70 billion plus parameters. So I wanted to know, what is this parameters business about? What does it mean to have a smaller model? 7B, 8B parameters doesn't mean much to me. Think that means 7 billion or 8 billion parameters, but what is a parameter? I'm assuming that local AI is not going to have access to what I have access in Gemini. Like when I'm using Gemini, I think I would have much broader access to internet content than on a local installation. But is that what parameters are? Was my question. I would only have access and be able to inquire questions about data that I have directly supplied to the local model. Is that right? I'm thinking that it operates similar to Notebook LM, which Notebook LM, you provide it your sources. It's also cloud-based. It is the big brother to Gemini, but you're asking questions when you prompt questions there, it's answering the question based upon what source files that you have provided. It is completely fair that 7 billion parameters sounds like absolute gibberish. The AI industry loves throwing around jargon. So let's break this down into plain English. What is a parameter? You're spot on. 7B means 7 billion. Think of an AI model like a giant, incredibly complex sound mixing board, or like neural connections in a human brain. A parameter is essentially a knob or a connection that the AI has tuned. Okay, weird, but okay. So it's not actually knowledge or data or content that the AI is going to pull from, but rather it's like a transistor. Neural connections in the human brain. During the months, let's see, I'm going to make a little change here. Bring this up over here because I like looking this way better and it's nice and big and bold and bright. During the months, AI spends training, reading millions of books, articles, and websites. It constantly adjusts these billions of internal knobs to learn how human language works, how words relate to each other, and how to store facts. Why is 7B considered small? A 7 billion parameter model is small only by comparison. Massive cloud-based models like the one you're talking to right now, Gemini or GPT-4, have hundreds of billions or even a trillion parameters. The trade-off, 7B model can run locally on a normal computer, making it fast and private. A trillion parameter model requires massive warehouse-sized computers to run, which is why you have access to it over the cloud. But this is not really how much internet content. It's not content. It's not data. It's parameters. Okay, it's still a little struggle here. Does local AI only know what you tell it? Actually, no. This is a very common misconception. See, I was thinking it was going to work like Notebook LM, where I put my content on there and I can ask it to do things, search things in that content, but it wouldn't really have much access to the internet. If you download a local 7B, 8B model to your computer, it's not a blank slate. It comes pre-trained. The companies that built the local model, like Meta with their Llama models or Microsoft, already fed it massive chunks of the internet before you download it. Okay, massive chunks. Does the amount of chunks or the size of chunks vary depending upon how many billion parameters you're using? If you turn off your Wi-Fi and ask your local AI to write a poem about the moon, explain the rules of basketball, or write Python code, it will do it perfectly. It already has a vast foundation of general knowledge baked into those 7 billion parameters. Now, that makes it sound like it is the data, meaning more billions of parameters, meanings it has more stuff. Still trying to get a handle. How much stuff? Here's where the difference lies. General knowledge versus deep knowledge. Because a local model has only 7 billion parameters compared to Gemini's trillions, its general knowledge isn't as deep. Okay, let's define what deep means. It might struggle with highly obscure facts or complex logic puzzles that a massive cloud model would easily solve. Okay, starting to get a little more idea about depth of knowledge or understanding. Maybe thinking of it like, maybe maybe just the main pages of a website compared to digging deep into the website's domain name and maybe content that isn't even, well, it's buried pretty deep. Okay, so there's the word deep, kind of starting to make sense to me. Live information, unless you set up specific software, a local model cannot browse the live internet to tell you the weather right now or today's news. It only knows the world up to the day it was trained. Okay, so yeah, that's the way it was with like Gemini and ChatGPT in the early days, where we could find that there was a knowledge date that it was current up to, and it didn't have access to newer content on the internet. Your personal data, what you are describing, feeding the AI your own direct documents, is actually the biggest superpower of local AI. Using a technique called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, you can point a local LLM at a folder on your own private PDFs, emails, or company data. Because the model runs entirely on your machine, your private data never goes to the cloud, but the AI can read it and answer questions about as if it were an expert. Now, this is something I've understood. Local AI, local LLM, all along, is if you don't want the data that you're asking it to work with to go through the cloud. And I have some of that content. So now this gets me right to the place where it comes down to very practical. There's a whole bunch more in my research so far, but I'm going to be stopping the topic pretty soon here. And the thing that I'm interested in is I have a lot of Microsoft OneNote notebooks that have data for my clients that I've been working with. Well, I haven't had OneNote since 1992, but I have content in there that I copied over from Microsoft Word. So I have a lot of background there. There's a lot of confidential data there. There's credentials for various different accounts. There's a variety of things that letting that go through the cloud has potential consequences. Maybe not so. I'm not so much concerned about what a normal consumer would be concerned about, because I use paid versions which specifically say, like, for instance, down here, look at this. Down here, your DougBetts.com chats aren't used to improve our models. Gemini AI can make me say, yeah, you can't improve our models. There's less or maybe no utilization of what I upload, but there's still potentially a vulnerability. Here's where my nightmare is. I don't really stay up at night worrying about this, but it's enough of a concern to guide my choices. Suppose one of my clients experiences a data breach somewhere down the line in the future, and it's so severe that there is some kind of an investigation. They're going to have to look at me. I'm going to have to be on the suspect list, right? And if it is particularly known through my exposure on YouTube that I'm comfortable with loading my clients' data and conversing it into a cloud-based AI, then that's a liability concern. That keeps me on the suspect. But if I am known through my YouTube videos, well known of having a local LLM that I use for everything client related, then that shows that I'm doing due diligence. And then I talk once in a while about my security measures. Now, here's what I really am interested in. Now, right now, I don't put that data through Gemini. I don't put client-specific data through there. But I do programming projects on behalf of my clients there, but still that doesn't touch the data. But what I could do by putting my Microsoft OneNote notebooks into the local LLM, which is not that machine, I'm just kind of implying someday it might be. I would be able to ask it, let's see, I don't have that set up yet to see what that was. A read chat, please. And sometimes that's urgent, like last time. Okay, Selden, why don't you could you copy and paste that into topic 1, type of 1 space, and then paste that, because you are talking about the AI subject there. And you could start the subject that way. I do not want read chat to be used for topics. I want you to use the topic method, and I need to turn on the topics and see what's there. There's 2, and the read chat C at the bottom, that's for read chats, and S is social topics. Anyway, my Microsoft OneNote, it has, and I had this conversation with Gemini. There's a section called networks, and there's a section called internet. On some of my clients, I have the router information in the network section. Some of my clients, the information is in the internet section. So it'll have whatever configuration details and credentials and such. And so when I go to a particular client's office, or I'm connecting to them remotely, I want to do something with a router, I need to go find those credentials. I seem to be clicking around trying to find, okay, where did I put it with this client? There is some inconsistency where I've evolved over time and done things a little differently here and there. And there's lots of different kinds of overlapping information. There's a lot of times where some information is obsolete and the more current information on a particular vertical market software product is now somewhere else. So I can coach the AI, particularly agentic AI, to comb through those files and reorganize them, or suggest ways to reorganize them and ask for my approval before actually taking action on that. And then another piece that I want to do is I want to be able to generate a break glass in case of emergency document for each of my clients, to where I can compile this document. They would be receiving it maybe electronically, maybe physically, but in some way to put security controls over it so it can't fall into the wrong hands, such that if I'm not available to them and they need to replace me with another IT person, they can have something that it is like breaking glass in case of emergency, and this gives them all the top level admin information that they need for all their various software programs, all their various hardware configurations, and so on, that another technician would be able to come in and make sense of, that they don't have to comb through this mess that has evolved over decades. And some of my clients, it is multiple decades. So I would like to be able to produce that for them. Another reason why I'm interested in the local LLM is for me to gain experience with doing real work with it. Now, I kind of emphasize that a little bit because a little bit bothers me when I hear people out there who will test equipment and say, I tested it, it works fine, never had a problem with it. But they're not actually doing real business volume work with it. And with using agentic AI and a local LLM, and I have real work for it to do, that puts me in a position to where I can help my clients with implementing that. And let me tell you something, that's going to be at a higher hourly rate. Yeah. And I feel like this is like one of those ground floor opportunities. I would have loved to have had the opportunity and the foresight to have bought, for instance, Microsoft stock before it went big, or Apple stock before it went big, and so on. How many opportunities or things that went big have you seen in your life that you wish you could have got in on that at the beginning? This is the beginning for AI, for local LLMs, for agentic AI, and I'm very interested. So a year from now, you might see another machine here for that purpose. Okay, so let's go get what comments have been made on this topic and see if you guys have caught on to how to do that. Here we go, on topic 1, and the topic is called Right. Strange name. We might rename that. Selden Ball says, my understanding is that recent policy changes do allow use of Google sources like Mail and Google Drive to be used for AI training if you don't explicitly opt out. Yeah, I think that's true. If you have the free version, if you're using the free version, I think there's some truth to that. I would, to really answer that, just paste that into an AI and see how it responds. You don't even need to change the wording. You can anybody right now could copy and paste Selden Ball's statement there into an AI as is, and it'll tell you what it thinks. And the issue with AIs which have been given right access, oh, that's why it's in quotes. See, that's how you title a topic. My system saw that the word right was in quotes, and so that's why it assigned that name to the topic. An issue with AIs which have been given right access is they've been known to delete or otherwise trash local file systems. Yeah, it's got to be done very carefully. I had an issue with the Python coding that I have been doing recently, that it did something different than what I expected it to do. Now, fortunately, I was testing it on a test bench computer, and it very much surprised me and was very much a nuisance to recover from that, except that I had made a backup of the QuickBooks company file that I was working on for that project. And that is a big concern in the industry, and talked about a lot, is governance and policies around the use of AI. And so me gaining my own experience with it can put me into a position where I can be competent in providing that kind of service for a higher hourly rate or project rate. And I don't know. Phil Stodd, Windows 10 used to randomly remove files and directories when it first came out. There was a there was a particular Windows update somewhere along the line that did wipe out, I think it was like your OneDrive documents folder. Something about if you had moved your documents folder from its normal location, instead of being in C:users / profile name / documents, if you had moved it to a different drive letter, then it did cause some substantial damage and caused a lot of pain. I remember that. Excuse me. I'm not aware of randomly removing files and directories when it first came out. Maybe that's a case issue, and we could go to AI to ask that. Now, let's see. Notice down at the bottom of the screen, topic 1 comes up. It shows. Where's it going to show? Come on. 4 of 4. So now if I move down, you see that first digit change as I'm moving down through there. Oh, it didn't highlight because I had the red dot turned on. But that's how I know when there's a new messages in a topic. So now looking at 1 and 2. So that's not topic 2. That is for C. Topic C is read chat, please. So now I have a button that can go straight to that. So that was Selden about the audio level. And I thank you very much for that. Let's topic. Yeah, I'm going to throw a bunch of points on Selden for that. And yeah. Then he says, my understanding is recent policy changes. Yeah, we saw that one for AI training. So, and he did as I requested that and put it onto topic 1. And as now, because each of you who put something on topic 1, you should have noticed that you were awarded points specifically for doing that. That's a new thing today. You get, I think it's 100 points for participating in the numbered topics. Now, if you abuse that and you're just putting garbage in there, you're going to lose that. You're going to lose that right. I don't have the button yet for it, but I will if you abuse it. So Phil Stodd, Windows, yeah, I got that one. Greg M, Dave Plummer from Dave's Garage. Let's see, let's rename this topic. I can do that. Topic reassign, rename current topic. And then that should give me a window over here. And that would be local LLM. That's a better name for this topic. Dave Plummer from Dave's Garage runs LLMs locally, but he has dedicated machines with 128 or 256 gig of RAM to load the LLMs into. Now, on that point, I don't think I'm going to need that because I will still use the cloud AI for coding projects. Anything where I'm not actually putting sensitive data into it, I'll still probably use Gemini or something else through the cloud because I do expect the cloud systems are probably going to work faster. I don't think I'm going to be so concerned about local LLM working fast because what I'm more interested in doing is assigning it something to do, let it propose how it's going to do it. Once I approve of how to do it and I have backups in place, then let it run. If it takes minutes or hours or days, I don't think I'm going to sweat that because I don't think that's going to be my primary use of AI, but it would be just for massaging those Microsoft OneNote files and similar, sensitive tasks. Phil Stodd, I experienced programs that I regularly use disappear from my computer. I had to go back and reinstall them. So that's what he was explaining about the Windows 10 removing files and directories when it first came out. Let's see, I'm gonna topic reassign, it's a rename current topic. I'm gonna test something here. Well, let's finish with his last one. A local LLM typically will run more efficient with a dedicated GPU. Yeah, dedicated GPU, more memory, and I don't think Big Beast actually has that AI chip in it. So there's lots of things that can make it run faster. I don't know if, yeah, efficient probably is a reason to say the dedicated GPU. But I don't think I would be inclined to be trying to run that on my daily driver computer. I think it would be a separate computer. Now, I'm going to try something here in my new systems. Windows 10, removing files. I'm going to try to see if I got this right. Topic reassign, add message. Try this button and see what it does. Topic reassign, add message. Okay, so then if I go down and take this one also, topic reassign, add this message. So now I have two messages selected from Phil. And I think this is going to allow me to reassign them to a different topic. Yeah, I want to move them to topic 2. And click OK. Now, if I go to topic 2, they're there. And then we'll rename that topic for Win 10 deleting files and apps. I think that's more words than I want. I told you that Windows 10 deletions. All right, so if you want to engage on that topic, you type a 2 space and then whatever your message is. That worked. That's the first time I've tried that one. I don't think I've ever even tested it. Okay. And then the S topic is social. So anytime you put in something that sounds like a social greeting, hello, Doug, if you just put in the word Doug alone, it does not automatically put you here. Hello, Doug. Hi, Doug will work. If you do the @LWTDB, it shows up in this social topic. And that should permanently be renamed as social. No, I don't know how to spell stuff. Let's see, I need to check on something over here. I have no idea what stuff that I have left open as I'm doing Alt-Tab and exposing all those thumbnails of things that I have open. All right, that looks better. Oh, let's see. I guess I got to do on social. I've got to highlight each of those to take them off of the count. Oh, and let's see. Live participants crawl. See who's present. Hello, Jim, Phil, Selden. If your name isn't showing up in that crawl, it means that you have not chatted within the last 5 minutes and you're no longer gaining 50 points per minute. Oh, let's go. Oh, I have a couple things to respond to lined up. So if you have a question on a new topic, just pick a new number, a new topic number, 3 space, and then type whatever your question is. If you put anything within quotes, then that will become the title of the topic. In channel comments, Kenny Kosovo says, I saw you using a lot of AI latest case. Oh, a lot of AI. Latest case on that email regarding sluggish laptop. Do you think if we ask AI for any IT issues, our job as technicians will be gone? Thanks in advance. First gut reaction answer, no, but let's dig a little deeper into the question. Whoops, wait a minute. Remember this, Doug, video link, and then reply. I began the reply to your question about 1 minute prior to the timestamp on this link. So yeah, looking a little deeper into it, it occurred to me there's a few perspectives why he could be asking this question from points of view. The main part I think I want to focus on, if we ask AI for any IT issues, our job as technicians will be gone. So I'm thinking, what is the application? What is the reality flow where if we as IT technicians ask questions to an AI about IT issues, that is a threat to our jobs in any way whatsoever? I struggle to see the thinking that would see that cause an effect, but I don't think his words were chosen that carefully. The broader conversation that is occurring is, how will AI affect IT jobs? It already has resulted in a lot of layoffs. As I understand, a lot of the in the IT world, technology world, there have been layoffs that have been attributed to AI that, as I understand, mostly occurring in the first level responders, first level help desk. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, because a lot of help desk questions can now be achieved just by interacting with a chat bot on a manufacturer's website. So that caused some layoffs. Do we really call those people technicians, though? They're kind of trained up just to be able to answer first level questions. A lot of times working from scripts. I struggle with calling them technicians, but they are IT jobs. Let's take another look at IT jobs rather than technicians. How about jobs in IT? AI is making things easier for programmers. That's arguable. Some programmers don't like using AI at all. Some are really embracing it. Does that reduce the number of programmers that are needed? I suspect yes. But will our jobs as technicians be gone if I take it into the scenario of what I do? Not at all. Are you kidding me? This gives me more value to provide to my clients, more higher level value to provide to my clients. The project I told you about last week that I'm working on with a client regarding QuickBooks I already have, well, it's not, I used the AI to help create the programming code, but the programming code is using APIs to read email. Yes, I have created code that successfully authenticates to a particular email box and reads the email and pulls information out of them that we need, and then massages that information into CSV files or Excel files, in which case we can then create an IIF file that can be imported into QuickBooks. And I could actually have the code even do the import into QuickBooks. But I don't know that we'll ever get to that step because that doesn't save a whole lot of human time. I would not be doing that project this last week, which is probably going to be a few weeks long. It's probably going to be around $3,000 or $4,000 bill to my client. I would not be doing it if I didn't have this AI tool. I can do coding. I don't enjoy coding well enough to keep literate enough to be able to write code from scratch. So I don't consider myself a programmer, but I do understand programming well enough to be able to guide and direct an AI for how I want it done and what I want it to do. So it's actually adding more opportunity. From my point of view, if you want to make comments along that topic, I would suggest / space and then type in your response, and we've got a new topic for AI replacing technicians, I guess, or technician jobs. I don't see any new messages at the bottom, so it means I don't have to go look. I like that a lot. Is there more? There's so much more I guess I could say on that topic, but I think I got my initial reaction out. In some areas, yeah, people will lose their job because of AI, their job in the tech industry. But in other ways, it creates more jobs, creates more value. I can provide things to my clients that helps them generate more revenue or reduce costs in their business, meaning improve their profitability. All right. I do see new messages in local LLM. So that one was on topic 1, right? Oop, I didn't get the there. Is that what it was? Yeah, 2 new messages. Now, here on this screen, I'm not able to see which ones are new at a glance. Yeah, that's interesting. So here, Seldon Ball, one of my concerns is that the majority of the open source AIs used for local running are Chinese. Very few are from US or European sources. That's a good concern. Hey, I, I was listening to a Darknet Diaries episode this morning talking about let's see, routers. One of the high-end business routers that was compromised. It's a well-known compromise, happened a long time ago, where the bad actors who were believed to be Chinese based upon the IP addresses of where they were tracked to, and possibly governmental, had achieved essentially full control of several thousands of routers made by this particular company. And so much of stuff is manufactured in China that the potential for something down the road where we discover, oh no, there was this major infection, and how do we deal with it? Yeah, that's a real thing, a concern. Is there anything more to talk about it at this point? I think mainly the level of comfort is the amount of white hat hackers that are out there that are combing through this stuff and finding things, but they find so much all the time, coming up with finding new vulnerabilities or previously unknown vulnerabilities. Not necessarily new vulnerabilities, but previously unknown. Phil Stodd says Meta plans to use data culled from employees' mouse movements and keystrokes to build more capable and efficient AI. Interesting. So their own employees, I don't have any problem with that, to be spying on their own employees, because that is pretty well legally established what an employee does while in the course of their work is fully owned by the company. So yeah, I'm not sure if Phil is objecting to this or just passing along this piece of information. If you're using a computer in a work environment, I would highly caution you to not be doing personal content, personal stuff on there. And I see it all the time. Oh my gosh. I have on occasion done a little coaching to clients, pointing out, look, you're saving your password here in your browser. Let me show you how easy it is for somebody to walk up to your computer and find out what the password is for your personal bank account. Yeah, scares them a little bit, because if they are saving that password into their browser and they are not signed in to a Google account or a Microsoft account with a secure password, if they're just using it not signed in, then somebody can come up and go into the passwords on the section in their computer, and the only credential they have to apply is whatever password is used to sign into Windows on that computer. Guess what happens if there is no password for signing into Windows on that computer? There is no block at all to going into the passwords and just clicking the eyeball and displaying what the password is. But if you are signed in for a Google account in Chrome or a Microsoft account in Edge, I assume it's the same with the other browsers. I don't know. But in those cases, you have to sign in, you have to put in the password for your Google account. And if you have two-factor authentication on, it's going to send a code to your phone that you have to put in. So yeah, if you're going to save passwords in a browser and there's other people that can have access to your computer, you want to be sure that you're signing in to a Google account. Now your computer can start up and you can open your browser and it's automatically signed in to your Google account. That's okay. When you go to the passwords display within the browser, you're going to have to sign in again, and two-factor authentication if you have that properly turned on in order to display what those passwords are. So somebody could walk up to your computer and click to go to your bank account and it would automatically sign them in, but they're not going to see what your password is. So there is the exposure that if somebody else can get to your computer and they just click on one of your bookmarks or go to your bank's website, your computer recognizes the website, automatically offers to put in the password for you, and they got access to your account. So in that event, you need to be protecting your computer by doing Windows key L for lock. When you walk away and you come back and you unlock it, it's going to make you type in your Windows password, and you would need to have a complex password that other people don't know if you want to prevent them from being able to do that. Take a drink, Doug. So still on local LLM. Dennis, did you get my email on this topic 2 weeks ago? You know what? This is a good time to bring that up, Dennis. And I think I failed to flag that email. So I'm so glad that you asked that. So let me go find that. Take a minute. Is it this one? Nope, that's a different Dennis. Well, I'd take a minute to find that. Let's see, how would I remember it was, oh, I think it was on local LLMs and the ways to do it. And he was giving me a link to a YouTube video, if I'm remembering right. And I think I failed to flag that one. If you have it easy at hand, you can just resend it right now. That would be helpful. Trying different ways. I'm not finding it so far. Nope, not that. It has not come in yet. If you don't give me something on that soon, I'm going to move on to a different topic, but I'd rather get back to that, get to your email. He said resent. Okay, great. So in the meantime, I'll just go ahead and look at Phil's message. From what I understand, the analyzing of the movements are being used to try to mimic a real human, not a bot. One of the things that came back on one of the responses from Gemini when I was asking it my questions about local LLM, it did say one of the methods that is available, my impression is that it's currently available, maybe not very good, is that if I want a agent, this is agentic AI that can actually do something, take action. If I want an agent to actually add some transactions or change transactions in QuickBooks, for instance, that it can do it through API connections where it's manipulating the database file just as a file operation. And the other way is for it to actually click on screens and type just like a human were going to do it. So I'm inclined to think that's what's going on here. When I have tried to use, what is that? Is it called hotkey? Windows hotkey, I think, something like that, where I try to use its mouse movement capability to take actions. It's not very stable and consistent because windows move around a little bit and relative mouse movements, and just didn't work that well. So maybe analyzing the employee's movements is going to help with that. Yeah, let's see. So how about if I take add that message, go up twice and add that message and reassign those to, let's see. Didn't we already do? Yeah, we did. We said that was to be topic 2, right? Reassign that to topic 2. Oh, no, that was Windows deletions. Messed that up. Messed that one up, Doug. So then take that one and reassign that to topic 3. Now go look at topic 3. And this topic would be called what? Meta spying. Topic 2 is Windows deletions. Topic 1 is local LLM. Dennis had said he resent his email. Thank you so much. There it is. Yeah. I feel like I did talk about this. So is this ready to bring over? Yeah, it is. My name is Dennis Hill, YouTube name Dennis such and such. I'm an amateur radio operating editor. As a fellow AI enthusiast, I thought I would share this video with you. So I did, I started watching it, and it got very difficult to watch because yeah, too much into the weeds. I enjoy your videos. I've seen your frustration with Gemini at times, and this local LLM is not a solution for that. I've been using local AI models for several months and believe you will find the local AI rabbit hole interesting. It might solve your problem with Gemini. No, will not solve that, in my opinion. So let's go take a little bit of a look-see at this video without violating rules. So I don't know this this individual, Web Dev Simplified. He covers, let's see, let's do it this way. I can keep this on here while I'm looking for this. let's bring us back down to normal size. And where is the summarize? Sign up for, no, get rid of that. Get rid of that. And then ask. Summarize the video. Now this ask feature is only available if you are paying for YouTube. So up here in the upper left, you see that I have a premium account. This video serves as a masterclass in setting up local AI models for coding, allowing developers to maintain privacy, reduce costs, work offline. Kyle from WebDev explains how these models work and to optimize them for various hardware configurations. Gives some information about how local AI works, talks about parameters and context size, but I don't think it gives quite the definition that I was needing. Finding and picking models, so it talks about lots of different models. And this is where I said, you're crazy. This is just way too much research to just get started. And that's why the question came up for Dell. Is there just a plug and play, configure and play, that I don't have to go through all this study? Configuring for performance, so configure stuff, but still nothing in here about actual realistic applications and what it would be good for and not good for. IDE integration, that's not IDE drives. So I think there's a lot of terminology in here that's not adequately defined. GitHub Copilot integration, and I've already done some experiments with that, was not impressed. Terminal-based agents, Pi command line tool using a Pi device. So this was just like drinking from a fire hose. And I just found it to not be nearly as helpful as I thought it had the potential of being. So yeah, thanks for sending it, I think, but I don't know why did you think this one was I guess it's significant because it really did tell how to set it up. It really didn't deal with, after you get it set up, what are you going to discover that, this isn't going to do what I want after all at all. Yeah, it tells you how to set it up and perhaps how to do it inexpensively and expensively, but not what are the consequences. What are the practical limitations of what you're going to find there. But I couldn't stand watching it all the way through. I found it very difficult to watch. Part of that is mannerisms. Enough said on that. So let's see, somebody did a read chat, please. Here it is. Sam Lazar says, good morning, just joined. Hello from Melbourne. Did perfect timing, Sam. I was just about to turn to your email. Haven't done that yet. Hopefully you're not watching in DVR mode because you're not going to be seeing that conversation live. Let's see, there's 4 new comments in local LLM. And Sam, you might want to give me a confirmation that, yeah, there's some other messages too. So let's go through these. So the last 4 would be new. Resent. It is dry at first. Yeah. So maybe it gets better. I don't know. You start with the back end, look at LM Studio or VLLM. You start with the back. I'm not sure what to do with that comment. I'm guessing that might have been in response to something specifically I was saying. I'm more interested in looking at my case, my my project, what I want to accomplish. And what I want to accomplish is an LLM to sift through my OneNote notebooks and organize them. Now, from my conversation with Gemini, it looks like I very well could accomplish that with a rather low capability local LLM. As far as the software, I think is, LLM Studio or VLLM. That sounds like.
Perfect. I can call that location.
No, don't do that. Speak of taking action unauthorized. My cell phone does that already. Apparently, pronouncing those words that are on the screen right there triggered my iPhone. Now, I think that I can test my use case scenario. That's the word I was trying to come up with, my use case scenario. I can test that with a cloud-based AI, and I would do that with sample Microsoft OneNote or a Microsoft OneNote file that does not have sensitive data, or just go make a copy of the OneNote notebook that has sensitive data and go delete the sensitive data from it, and then go feed that into a cloud-based AI and see what it can do for me for reorganizing it. However, that does not give me access, I think, to an agent. For an agent, a cloud-based agent, I think there's dinero involved. It's going to cost some moolah. By having a local LLM, I can have an agent that I pay for once and I'm not having to pay a subscription for. So maybe a trial of a cloud-based agent and see whether or not I like what it can do, and then set up, if I like it, set up the local LLM and work with that. That could be a way for that to work out. Let's see, whoops, pressing wrong buttons here. Would you really trust personal data to a cloud-based program? Some certain personal data, yeah. My personal data that's already exposed on the internet, yeah. I think personal data, when I sign into most websites that's involving personal data, my email address, YouTube considers email address to be personal data. If I expose somebody's email address, I can get, I've had YouTube react to that kind of thing. There was one of my unlisted videos that got blocked because there was, I had exposed a full screen of somebody else's inbox, their email inbox, one of my clients. It was an unlisted video that I made available to them, to that person, to my client. And YouTube took the video down because I was exposing somebody else's email account. There are two parts, the back end and the front end. The front end is your memory, personality, etc. There are two different programs, but it changes weekly. Are you talking about that video still? Two parts of the video where he's talking about back end and front end? Front end is your memory, personality, etc. So two parts of an LLM, I think, is what he's talking about, local LLM. They are two different programs. two different, oh, I'm understanding now. I got it. On your local LLM machine, there is a program that operates the front end, which would be the chat screen. It does, as according to my interaction with Gemini, it has a chat screen where you put in prompts and you get a response. That's the front end. The back end is what contains all of the data that you have uploaded. Dennis, give me a confirmation if I'm describing this correctly as you understand. This part about but it changes weekly, I think what he's referring to there is how fast the LLM industry is evolving. So, Dennis, give me a one space and yeah, there he says exactly. The back end can point locally or to the cloud. Well, that's interesting. If the back end can print. See, I did not, that my understanding of a local LLM is once you load it, you're loading it with a static date of the internet, and that it does not live access the internet. But maybe that evolved since the conversation that, or the, since Gemini's understanding of that part of the industry. That's enough on the detail of that. I think any further, and we're really getting into the weeds. I need to get on to Sam Lazar's topic here. So that's topic one. There's topic two. Is there anything new there? I don't think so. I need to be able to spot on this screen if there's something new there. Waiting for that to cycle through. No. So then topic three at the bottom. Yeah, one new. I don't think the case involving Meta is spying per se. Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't think it's nefarious spying. I think it's for the advancement of their capabilities. Yeah, I don't think there's a human even looking at. Does Joe over there in product development, is he got efficient mouse uses, or is he always jittering back and forth and not knowing where to go? No, I don't think that's what they're doing. And then topic four is untitled. AI is any other tool that makes us more We have been using some form of AI for years. We have been using advanced tools in Excel for years. This can be a form of AI. Also, Microsoft Word did away with typists years ago. I had to push back on that. I have clients in my office typing. They don't use the voice dictation if that's what you're implying. So to say Microsoft Word reduce the amount of people that draft their documents by typing, but I don't think it's fair to say that they did away. That's a bit extreme. We've been using some form of AI for years. We've been using advanced tools in Excel for years. I have to push back a little bit on that. There's a lot of advanced tools that are not AI. They're just advanced features. In algorithmic programming, there are advanced functions, advanced tools. I cut my teeth on computers doing some pretty, what I still call sophisticated macro and function programming in a program called Symphony, which is a big brother to Lotus 1-2-3. If you don't know Lotus 1-2-3, it was the spreadsheet program of choice before Microsoft Excel even existed. Yeah, that's how gray my hair is. Okay. That was topic 4. what is this top? What would be the right topic name for that? I don't know. It's AI, so I'll just call it AI. Oops. There we go. That's the easiest way to get to that. Yeah, I'm just calling it AI for now because I'm just not any smarter than that. Gotta highlight each of those so they're selected. And then 1 and 2. About time here, Sam Lazar. If he's responded to me, he hasn't responded in a way that I can see. If you do at LWTDB, whatever you put there is going to show up on this social tab. So that's an easy way to respond. Sam, are you watching live? Are you here? Put an S space. Yes. While I take a water break. Sam Lazar, I am around. See how that works? So well. And then he put in yes, because that's what I asked him to do after he did the first response. Okay. Go bring up Sam's email. Oh, and this is just, I love, love, love that you sent me this question and this topic so much. And I'm going to, well, let's see. Here we get to that. Before I go into the topic, let's come down. Let's take and topic, reassign for that, and this is going to go to topic 5, I believe. And yeah, there's no topic 5 yet. So bring that up. And topic 5. Let's see. Hello, Chris Garrett. Hello, Edward Bass on the social tab. And then topic 5. And we'll rename that one to Sam Lazar client relationships. And if I highlight that one, and here's 1,000 points, here's another 1,000 points, here's another 1,000 points, because I like this email you sent so much. Okay, here we go. I wanted to, so if you want to address this topic, if you want to make a comment on it, it's 5 space and type whatever you want. So I'll be able to get to your comments after I get through all of this for Sam. I wanted to run a scenario by you and see how you handle this specific flavor of legacy tech standoff. I run an IT consultancy down in Australia, and I am currently dealing with a client situation that has officially hit the wall. I was contemplating, there's got to be some kind of, what does it mean, officially hit the wall? I'm trying to think of the criteria to call it official. It's just talking. Don't stress about it, Doug. You're such a Doug. The setup. I was at a client's place yesterday doing some routine software and Windows 11 updates. She has a perfectly capable 10th generation i5 laptop. The kicker, she was still running Microsoft Office 2003 on this Windows 11 laptop. She uses Outlook 03 to pull up her emails via IMAP. I presume that some previous technicians saw she had Office 2003 on a previous computer, found the install disk, and installed it with the license key on her laptop. Big red flag in. in my view. Little eager on the mute button there. For context, since, well, let's first go back about this big red flag. Now, since really the topic here is client interactions, and he's asking how I would react, I would not criticize the previous technician. I avoid like a plague criticizing a previous technician. In the course of my interactions with my client, the client might wind up criticizing the previous technician. That's fine. I might soften it a little bit because there's a lot of things that can happen on a computer over time. There's a lot of history that can exist that you don't really know what's going on, and you don't know who that technician was. Could have been her son. Could have been someone she's very fond of. And criticizing that person could cause your client to start holding back information and being reluctant to, provide information that you really need if they think there's going to be some static there. So just put in that piece. And this is the reason why I like this email so much, because it gives the opportunity to talk a lot about client psychology, interacting with clients. To get really good results and get steadfast, loyal clients, there is psychology to to deal with, in my opinion. For context, since you are in the US, her email is through Telstra. And he's saying that because I'm not familiar with it. And he's right. Which is the largest ISP in Australia. If I knew this, he wouldn't have to explain this. And it's a former government entity. Think of it like a legacy AT&T or Comcast account. Archaic server rules, tiny storage quotas, and user who absolutely refuse to abandon the email address they had since 1998. In the US, that provider is Network Solutions. Network Solutions. When I got my domain name, DougBetts.com, Network Solutions, as I understood at the time, was the only place that you could register a custom domain in the world. That was my understanding at the time. What would that have been? I see. Definitely before 1992. Could it have been 1992 that I did that? I don't know if Brian's around. He'll probably figure that out because I think he can tell on checking registration. Could have been 1992. That was before Windows 95. So yeah, that was early. I was actually working in DOS with most of my clients. Yeah, Windows 3.11 was pretty commonplace at that time. I don't know if I did that domain before then or not. Anyway, yeah, Network Solutions. I still have people who are using that. And they don't even have IMAP yet, I don't think. And yeah, old rules and tiny quotas. Yeah, run into that problem on occasion. The catalyst. I left her house yesterday with a solid roadmap. The plan is to upgrade her to Microsoft 365 subscription to utilize modern Office and OneDrive and replace her severely outdated phone and tablet so she can actually run mobile Office apps and receive security patches. I would also need to make a Microsoft account as she is using a local account. I'm reading into that line there, Sam, that you mean that you want her Windows computer to sign in with a Microsoft account, which I'm fine with. I don't necessarily push that on clients, particularly if they have a local server. I'd rather them on a local account. But if they're not objecting to it, there's a lot of security and functionality in having them sign in to Windows with a Microsoft account. Then the panic calls started. Now, here's the fun. Here's the fun time. Here's when the psychology comes into play. The panic calls started. She rang last night and again this morning. Well, she didn't ring. She dialed his phone number. His phone rang. She's not sitting there at her coffee table ringing. Oh, such a Doug. Highly stressed because her Office 2003 shortcut no longer works and is just prompting her to delete the broken link. I explained that either Microsoft deliberately purged it during the latest update or Windows 11 finally shifted enough under the hood to break a 23-year-old piece of software. That last read chat was Sam saying his client is elderly and has no server. Sam, is your client in business or is this a home user? That's another piece that I didn't see contained in here. I was kind of inclined to think that they were in business because you were at the client's place doing routine software and Windows 11 updates. Doing routine updates for a home user, I wouldn't do. I would not do that. I trust automatic updates well enough for a home user. And the difference here is if it is a home user, my answer is different than if it's a business operation. I explained Microsoft deliberately purged it during the latest update or Windows 11. I would not have done this. He's asking how I would have responded to the client. I would not have responded with this. The closest to this that I might have come, and I said, well, it could have been something Microsoft did, but I haven't seen them do that before. We don't know yet. Let's see if he's giving me an answer to that. It's a home user, has lots of business requirements. My client is a home user and has lots of business requirements. So that's still implying that it is a business run from home. Thank you for that. And my reaction to okay. Oh, let's see. Okay, so here's the phone call. Oh, wow, really? Okay, well, could have been something Microsoft did, but we don't know that yet. Well, the main thing is we got to get this fixed for you, okay? Got to figure out why this happened and just get it working right for you. Now, the part about Windows 11 finally shifted enough. Yeah, possible Windows 11 update, something went there, or it could have been related to something I did. I can't imagine what that would be right now. It doesn't really make sense to me, but the main thing is let's get this fixed for you. If she is sensing your defense, you are defending yourself. It wasn't something I did. Maybe it was something Microsoft did, or maybe it's your 23-year-old piece of software. Not my fault. If she's sensing that, then she is preparing to do battle with you, and you are setting her up. You have now used a psychological technique to cause more tension and more friction and get her more prepared to argue with her. If your first reaction, if she can sense that you are on her team, that you are on her side, that you are not defensive, then you're going to have a much easier time of getting to the truth of the matter. It's quite likely when you find the truth of the matter, and if you handle this skillfully as a psychologist, she will wind up realizing it wasn't your wrongdoing at all, and that you were very clever and skillful at how you solve the problem issue for her. And she may wind up realizing that she caused the problem, which very much could be the case, that she caused the problem and doesn't know it. You were there doing some updates, some software updates. You had these conversations with her. It's quite possible that that kind of inspired her to clean up some other things or maybe do something else. She may have done other things that you aren't aware of, and she actually caused the problem. But don't imply that, not at this stage. Your reaction, in my opinion, should be along the lines of on her side, empathizing with her and say, oh, wow, that's a problem. We got to get this fixed for you. I don't know what caused it. It doesn't make sense to me that this happened, but let's just get the problem solved. And I'm not going to worry about what caused it at this point. We got speculating on what caused it right now isn't going to help us much. The first task is to get it fixed. And in doing that, we're probably going to figure out why it happened. I hope I didn't do this to you, because I would hate for that to be the truth of it. But if that is the truth of it, I will own it. So you're giving enough of an out that there could be something else, but that you're willing to own it. Now, I have had fairly recent experience with this, where a client called I won't say upset, because I already have a relationship with the client, but printer wasn't working. And I had, this was like, I think the day after I was there. And indeed, she had done something else. I don't know why she did this. I didn't put her through an inquisition to say, why, how did you do this? Because the day before I was there and we printed. That was part of the task that we were after. Next day, printer's not working. So through photographs by text message and phone support and remotely connected to her computer, what we discovered is that she had plugged the USB printer cable into the Ethernet port on her laptop instead of the USB port. Yeah, a Type A USB connection will fit into an Ethernet port if you're just feeling on the side to put it in. I never had that in mind. So of course I used the kind of reaction that I'm talking to you about. Had no defensiveness about it. When we got to the solution, she realized that she must have done it because I wasn't there. And I have found it fairly common after I've done some work that a client is predisposed to assume anything that's not working was my fault. I've also had occasions where, I think I told you about one recently. Well, I hadn't been there, but I did do some work remotely on the computer. And then the next day, it's not printing. It was out of ink. So end users have a tendency, human beings have a tendency, after any technician does anything with their stuff, that anything that goes wrong their first suspect is the person who did that work. You get your car back out of the shop, you're driving down the road, you get a flat tire, and you want to blame it on the shop. A screw got punctured into your tire when your car was in their shop, just because they were the last person to touch it. Let's see. There's a new message over here on Sam's topic. Education, not criticism, is a better approach. And education with a huge grain of salt. Not from a place of knowing what the problem is before you've done the diagnostics, but lay out a few possibilities, but not in a way that it sounds like you're defensive. Now, what happens is if it does sound like you're defensive, now we're going to find out in a little bit that Sam's got an appointment to go back. If she has felt defensiveness from you, Sam, or you, any technician, when you show up, that customer will have been rehearsing in their mind the conversation that they anticipate having with you. They're not just rehearsing what they're going to say. They are rehearsing a variety of defensive responses they expect you to make. And they are on edge. They are on a hair trigger, ready to blast you, ready to enforce their will upon you. Not everybody reacts this way, but I find it to be kind of common. So if they sense from the very get-go, when they first tell you about the problem, that you're on their side and you are going to be very open-minded to look at what you've done as possible source of the trouble, but the main thing, get them fixed, get it fixed for them. Yeah. Let's get back to the email. The chaos. Here, I was just saying, wasn't I just saying this? She is now demanding I come over and put it back to how it was. Well, I've had exactly those words. So you may, if you reverse everything that you did, what is the likelihood that that's going to solve it? You and I and the rest that are participating here as technicians have reasonable suspicion that that's not going to fix it. If you try to undo those updates that you did, those software updates that you did, everything that you did to put it back how it was, that may not solve the problem, because the problem might be something else. Let's see, it was a link that wasn't working. Okay, so the first thing that I would do when you go over there, and I would not tell her that this is your intention, although depending upon your relationship, you could even talk her through this on the phone, is go to the start button, go to the programs menu. Let's see, I guess I got a difference in different versions, so let's go. Yeah, go click on the start button, go to the program list. Now this makes it difficult to do over the phone because you don't know whether they're on category or grid or list. So I'm more comfortable with list. So you might tell them to click on the start button and then look on the right hand side where it's going to say either view list or view category or view grid. I want you to click on that drop down button and change it to view list. Okay, then click on the letter A, then click on the letter M, and then click on Microsoft Word, or it might be in the W. Well, What was it that was not working? Office 2003 shortcut. What is Office 2003? Do you mean Word 2003? I think there might have been a link for just Office 2003 that gives you all of the programs. But anyway, talk through this. And basically what you're getting to is trying to get to the point. I'm going to go to Word and just launch Word from there. Does that work? And then all we need to do is add the shortcut to the desktop. Delete the old shortcut that's not working anymore. The reason why it's not working, we don't care. That last rechat that he just did with the squeaky toy says, my internet is acting funny. Also with Telstra coming in and out. I had to rewind this stream a bit to catch up. Okay. So he might not be caught up at this point. Yeah, so the problem is the 2003 shortcut. That doesn't sound like much of a problem. If the program's still installed, just go launch it. That gives her the comfort level that it is there. And then you could even just talk her through recreating the shortcut on the desktop. Say, yeah, I'll come over. We might be able to fix this over the phone right now. Are you interested? And she might say yes, and then go through and launch it from the start menu. If that works, then talk her through recreating the shortcut on the desktop. Now, put it back. Okay, to add to the chaos, she is claiming her printer doesn't work, even though I completely reinstalled the Epson software yesterday, hard set it as the default so Windows wouldn't auto-manage it, and successfully ran a test print. She also mentioned her usual websites look different, which I suspect is just Windows hijacking her default browser. So let's deal with these two. Based upon the information you've given us about what you did is you reinstalled the Epson printer software and you tested it. It's functional. But we don't know where and how she is trying to print. So what I want to do in this case is this is where it's real advantageous to be able to connect remotely, is show me where you're trying to print. Now, I would connect remotely and I'd go straight to a test print page. And I've had exactly this scenario where the test page works. And then they say, oh, printer does work. And then I say, well, let's have you try it because it could have something to do with where you were trying to print. And then what she might do is she might go to a particular place where she's accustomed to just pressing Control P. And that's going to print to the last known default printer for that application, which might not automatically select the Windows default printer. You selected a Windows default printer in Windows 11. Does the Microsoft Office 2003 recognize that as the default printer? I don't know. Whatever other program she might be using, does that recognize on Control P the right printer? So when she shows you where she's trying to print, you might then be able to say, oh, we just got to go through the print menu and select your printer in this application. Now this application is going to remember that printer from now forward. So it's just that we missed setting the printer choice in this program because I didn't know that you were using Control P here. And honestly, that's not something that is routine enough to even have thought about. I'm sorry for the stress that put you through, but this is an easy fix. Or it might not be an easy fix. Maybe the printer is not working, or maybe you find there's no paper in the printer. Because again, the end user, the human being in all of us, wants to blame the last person who touched it. So she tries to print it doesn't come out and she doesn't think to look to see it's got printer. Look at the basics. Possible. And if you handle these in this type of situation with good psychological touch, to where she's not rehearsing this argument that she expects to happen with you in her mind before you come over, then what happens is you solve the problem for her again, once again. You have calmly, rationally found the problem, worked the issue, and solved it. And further locked in the loyalty of that client. And next time there's a problem, they're going to be less anxious, less worried, less primed for an argument. That last read chat, please, from Sam. Did you say your black cartridge is empty? So please replace it. I just remembered it. Yeah, that's exactly one of the stories I told you last week. Exactly it. And why does it coincidentally happen after you've worked on it? Well, sometimes a person might have you doing some work on their computer because they haven't been using it for a while and it needs some attention. You do the attention, and then they start doing things that they haven't been doing, and it causes some issue to be discovered. Okay, so we've dealt with the printer issue. She also mentioned her usual websites look different, which I suspect is just Windows hijacking her default browser preferences post-update. Certainly possible. The browsers themselves also update. Her usual websites look different. This could be something so simple that it would not occur to most technicians. Example: you were working on her computer. You were probably using her web browser. You may have done this. Let's see, I'll come over here. You might have done this. Maximize the browser. And that's enough of a difference for her to say it looks different. It's taking up the whole screen. She's used to it looking this way, where it doesn't take up the whole screen. Maybe the bottom border was down at the bottom, underneath, and she can't see the bottom of it. She's not used to that and doesn't know the basics, very basics of using Windows in Windows. This, when I say using Windows, I mean this gadget here, this rectangle, that's a window. All right, that's a window. She doesn't know how to resize them, maximize them, minimize them. I've had times when I go to a client's computer and they say they can't see anything on their they can't access the internet. They can't get to the internet. Let me show you what I find. Let's go position things a little bit here. Yeah, I go to their computer and I say, open your browser, or I connect remote, open your browser, and I see this. You say, my internet's broken. I can't get to the internet. Pausing for a moment for you to, I don't think I want to wait for you to tell me in chat what's wrong. All right, yeah. Let's have you tell me in chat. What's wrong? How do you fix this? Is there any responses? I'm looking over at this screen. Can you tell me how to fix that? literally have this kind of thing happen. Still no answer. Is that thing even working? Click live. All right, you're not going to give that to me. What's that acronym? Person behind the keyboard. It's a yeah, there is an acronym for that. Yeah, it's just this window is set at a medium-sized view that's just too small. So we just grab the corner, just grab the corner. Sometimes it's easier just to both the bottom or side. This doesn't want to do this. What are you doing? What are you doing to me? Something because of all the stuff I got going on. It's just scrunched down too much. I could do maximize. Let's go that way. And then, finally, go that way. And then you got to bring it to the right size, and then it'll remember that. You don't know what the real source of the trouble is. So the psychological technique, it's very important, very useful, is to be calm and be on their side and be friendly. Don't sound defensive at all. It's I think there's new comments on this topic, right? Yeah, 2 of them. Dennis, and it is hard to handle well-prepared clients. Yeah, if they're prepared for the argument. Yeah. If you show up and they already feel that you are feeling their pain, you have empathy for the issue, and you're going to do your very best to get it fixed for them. Don't worry about finger pointing. Let them do the finger pointing afterwards. And have them at your side. I very much, when there's some kind of issue like that, I want to have them there with me. I don't want them to leave the room and leave me to it. And I want to talk through the processes, the thought processes I'm going through. I want to involve them in finding the solution, because in doing so, they're going to get an understanding for how skilled you are as a technician. As skilled as it, I don't pretend to know everything. I often am. I might say something like, they got so many things that they do different here. It's this setting screen is different with every browser, and every time I come with a new version, it's different. Let me find this here. And I don't mind letting it be known that Windows support is a challenge for me. It's a challenge that I enjoy and that I think I'm pretty good at. But let them know that we, the client and we are on the same side. The party that's on the other side is the software and hardware manufacturers. Not in a pointing finger kind of way. Let them point the finger. Phil Stodd says, a lot of apps need you to individually select and save a default printer. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Bingo, bada boom. By the way, you got 100 points just for putting a message into any of these topics, any of the numbered topics. You put a message in there, participate in that conversation, it gets you 100 points every time. You should be seeing that in the chat room. Eventually, those chat room confirmations are going to go away. I'll be confirming with a different technique. Dennis says the old bedside manner. Absolutely. It is definitely a bedside manner. Back to the email, because we're not done yet. So we got all that, covered the part about the websites. The Monday standoff. Yeah, it shouldn't even be that in your perception. See this, if you handle your reaction with good psychological technique on the phone, you're already going to feel this is a friend you're going to see. This is going to be a welcoming occasion if you handle the psychology of it well in the phone call. And then it won't be a standoff. Now, some people, it doesn't always work as well, but I can't think of anybody right now that it's not working well. The one client that I think back on that it did not work well, you've heard me talk about from time to time, and that's the client that I fired. In the year that I fired them, I think I had made close to $10,000 from them that year. So it wasn't an easy thing to do. And it wasn't my client who was difficult. It was his stepson that he handed the business over to. And his stepson was a headstrong jerk. I didn't fire the client that I knew and loved for, I think it was over 20 years that I'd been doing their work. Actually longer. He was one of my first clients, came 1 year after I started my business. I know that 1 year increment because he was a client to the company that I had worked for prior. When I opened as my own business, I voluntarily complied with my former employer's insistence that I don't serve any of the clients that I knew while I was working for them for a year. I voluntarily complied with that. I was not under any contractual obligation. And when that year went by, that client who I had actually refused to work for, they wanted me to. Told him, no, can't do that for you. When the year anniversary hit, he called me, and probably not a year to the day, but so he's a longtime client. When he handed over to his stepson, that lasted for a few months, and then I gave him the boot. I'm heading back over there on Monday, 9:30. I plan to hold the line and enforce the move to Microsoft 365. I bristle at that. I would not be doing that. This is a home operated business. I don't think I would be calling it hold the line. I let the clients make the decision. I will spell out the consequences, the potential consequences. I want them to make the decision. You can talk all day long about the risks of using 2003. I cannot point to any loss or damage issue that I am aware of in my realm of awareness of a breach for that. And in most cases, even most of my clients, other vulnerabilities that they have due to their work habits and the way they interact on the internet, that is a pretty minor, statistically, pretty minor risk exposure. So I will describe the risks to them and let them decide, and let them know that I will not judge them for their decision. It's the 2003, it is warm and fuzzy. It is the comfortable environment. If you force them to change, they could easily be angry at you for a very, very long time. You have a very difficult time helping them in the future. I would much rather let them come around, help them to come around to making their own choice. enforce the move. I don't even think of it that way in my mind. For the email client, I'm going to set her up with the latest Outlook, or better yet, deploy Betterbird, a secure Thunderbird fork. So she has a modern environment that won't randomly break. Yeah, but does modern environments assure you of no breakage, no problems? Yeah, I don't know that I see that. I'm assuming do we know if she's currently using the 2003 Outlook? Probably. I can also install LibreOffice or OnlyOffice if she refuses to pay for Modern Office. I am not totally on board with pushing her into modern software. A lot of people would criticize me for that. Depends upon what is this home business. If I had a client who had a computer at home, she was doing the bookkeeping work in QuickBooks for her husband's painting business. Catch that in a moment. She just wasn't like me. She wasn't a financial services. She wasn't a loan officer. It was a painting business. Behind a consumer router, which in some ways is a little bit, in some ways is safer than a business router. A business router has a lot of capabilities of having open ports, and you're doing other things that can open vulnerabilities, whereas a consumer router, there's certain kinds of things that it's less susceptible to. There's definitely particularly elderly. I have clients who I have not pushed them forward into modern software if they have the old software. Elderly people, it can impact them in ways far beyond their use of the computer. They could be out to lunch with their friends and they are quick, they are just on edge, and their buttons are so easy to press because they are stressed out because of these changes on their computer that it's taking them weeks or months to get accustomed to. And they're frustrated and they're stressed and they're taking it out on family, they're taking it out on neighbors, they're taking it out on friends because they're just on edge. The elderly psychology is a different animal than your typical office worker. And I'm far less likely to press them to be current. I will look at other mitigating factors. I will have backup options in place. And I take a softer look at the industry's anxiety over security. In my clients' business offices, security. In a rather casual, even hobby business operated out of home, elderly person, not feeling very comfortable with computer, easily excitable, on edge when there's things stressing them. I know the consequences of that statistically truthful but rather minor security exposures is not worth the consequences to their life, in my opinion. He's asking how I would respond to this. That's what I'm trying to give. Have you run into these exact scenarios? I think I've covered that. Yes, variations on it. Oops, I'm sorry, I missed a squeaky toy to respond to, didn't I? Oh, let's go this way. No, I'm going to finish this paragraph first. And they demand you to put it back. I would love to hear your thoughts, specific scripts you use. I wondered how it was conversation when going back is a massive security liability. Yeah, I'm not going to call that one a massive security liability. In the office, yes. In a substantial business, yes. Barely over home user environment. The massive security problem with an elderly user is clicking on links in emails. Do you have her trained? Never click on a link in an email, not caring who it's from, not from her bank, not from her grocery store, not from her friends and relatives. Do not click on links without checking with you first or without asking the person who sent the link. That is the huge problem with elderly, and that includes phones and tablets, text messages. All right. The comparative security exposure is just night and day. Let's see. So the chat, read chat, please. Let's see what I have missed. All Sam Lazar, so I'll take them in order. Elderly, home user, lots of business requirements. Now, I don't know yet what the lots of business requirements means. And it might mean that this person is more computer comfortable than I am giving her credit for. There's the internet acting funny issue and the black cartridge issue. Could it be a virus or malware that modified Office 2003 and the Windows AV removed it? I doubt that. I highly doubt that. You don't have any evidence that Office 2003 was modified. All you know is that a shortcut on the desktop doesn't work. That's all you know. I've had that happen before. I have had shortcuts on a desktop break and did not bother tracking down why did it break. I find the program's still there, just recreate the shortcut. How is that virus or malware? Why would they care to do that? She has lots of finances and entities with her accountant. Okay, more important than Outlook 2003 is password manager, complex passwords, two-factor authentication, freeze the credit reports, because a modern Microsoft Office doesn't fix any of those exposures at all. None of them. If she's exposed in those areas, the version of Microsoft Office isn't going to help. If she has those 4 areas covered, and I may have left something out, but you get the idea, those types of areas covered, then using 2003 is not a big deal. As far as not worth the level of trouble that it's going to cause her. Now, lots of finances. What does lots of finances mean? Does that mean she has investment accounts? As long as those are protected with complex password, two-factor authentication, password stored in a secure manner, then what is your concern about Office 2003? Is she storing her passwords in a Microsoft Word document from 2003? Well, Office 376 isn't going to help you for that. 376? 365. 376 is the number of my EAA chapter. I don't know where that came up. Freud. Yeah. So I would be looking to deal with the real security, common security vulnerabilities regarding finances. Now, entities. What does that mean? She has lots of finances and entities with her accountant. Entities with her. I don't know what that bit means. The word entities in my mind, legal entities. She has a corporation. She has a doing business as. She has an LLC. She has a family trust. That could be what it means. Accountant could be involved with all of that. All of those accounts have to be properly protected. If they are properly protected, what are you worried about with Office 2003? When you go look at the vulnerabilities that exist for Office 2003, boy, you're looking at vulnerabilities. Now you got to consider the odds that a attacker at a keyboard is going to be going after her because they know she has this old Microsoft Office 2003, and then what do those vulnerabilities allow them to do? I just don't see it being worth causing all the stress that you're potentially causing her. My opinion. There, I said it. Oh, I'm overtime already. I was looking to see how much more time I have to fill. Okay. Let's see, social. I'll go hit that to, let's see. Sam Lazar, I did use Google Gemini for this email. Yeah, it looked like that. It looked like you did. Yeah, I would never badmouth a tech, pointing out something if it was extremely dangerous. Yeah, not calling it out on the tech, but describing what the risk is of something that you see. I do want to get my client to Office 2003. Who are you to even say that? Wait, what? I want to get them off 2003. Who are you to say that? What is that of your business? You want. Okay, I'm going to be fairly harsh on this opinion. It's none of your business. It's not what you want. You can describe to your client, my opinion, describe to the client why you think they should upgrade. It's their decision. But you doing something, you guiding your client to do something because you want it, no, I do not think that is a legitimate point of view to be coming from. Now, what's behind you wanting it? That's where I would defend you, Sam. You want it because you think there are dangerous potential consequences to your client. Well, dealing with elderly people, and I've dealt with a lot of them, there are potential dangerous consequences for them to stay on the old product. There are absolutely definite, certain, undeniable consequences that will happen if you upgrade them to something that they can't get comfortable with. That will send their life into a total send their life into a total tailspin. She's already given evidence of this. So you wanting to upgrade because you're afraid of a potential, possible consequence that you've never heard of anyone actually encountering. Yet a situation where if you force them to upgrade, you're going to be on edge. They're not going to like it. They're not going to like you. And you sleep better at night thinking you have protected them, and they are hating you in their dreams. They are being in bed at night. I am this type of person, thinking through the conversation, rehearsing the conversation, imaginary conversations that never occurred, and they are far worse than what the reality is. I don't like that perspective of what you want. Sam, I love you for bringing this, and I thank you so much for allowing me to respond freely. And I know you're not going to take insult to anything, and I see that I've covered everything. So let's get out of here. Have a great weekend, everybody. There's the email address if you want to send a question or a story of something that you've been involved in. That's not the email address. There's no email address. My email address is broken. Oh, well. It's in the description for the video. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.
Tune in. Days a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day. We love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team. For Windows support and more than you've dreamed. Join the fun, don't miss a single stream. At LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts or simply where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Tune in, days a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day. We love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team. For Windows support and more than you've dreamed. Join the fun, don't miss a single stream. At LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts or simply more deeply VB, where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme.